It's time for my June TBR. How is it already halfway through the year? Hello book friends, I'm Jen and welcome to my reading life. Today I am going to be talking about all the books that I am considering reading in June. And when I was putting this video together, I realized that this is probably going to be a little bit repetitious because I just posted my 2 summer reading videos and a lot of these books are from those videos. But I didn't talk about any of the books in any particular depth in those videos, so I will try to give a little bit more detail on them. And there are some books that I didn't talk about in those videos. I've broken these up into a few different categories, so I'm just going to go through the book, and then at the end, I'm hoping you guys can help me out and help me prioritize books from one of my stacks. So stay tuned until the very end, and I'm hoping you can help me out with that. But let's dive right into the books. So the first category that I have to talk about are books that are for buddy reads, group reads, or my book club. The first book, these are in no particular order. I was planning to read this book anyway, and then when we had our book club meeting last Saturday, a couple of the other members wanted to read this with me, so we are going to be doing a bit of a group read of this book, and that is Looking Forward by Marcia Willett. And this is the first in the Chadwick family saga. So we have Fliss, Mole, and Susanna. They arrive at the keep in the summer of 1957. Their parents and elder brother have been killed in Kenya, and the children are sent to live with their grandmother. And so it's just about the family, and the grandmother obviously has her own grief, having lost a child, and I'm assuming this is just the first part of the story of this family. And there are 3 books in this series. I have all 3. I'm planning to read the entire series this summer. So this is the book for June, and then I'm going to read book 2 in July and book 3 in August. I am really looking forward to this. I really do love Marcia Willett. And if you like Rosamund Pilcher, Marcia Willett is probably one of the best read-alikes for Rosamund Pilcher that I can think of. And then the next book that I am in a group read for is The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. I know, I keep talking about how much I am having a love affair with Edith Wharton, and I have luckily found a few other ladies on Bookstagram who are also enjoying reading Edith Wharton, and we have read The Age of Innocence together, and now we're going to read The House of Mirth, and I'm so looking forward to this one. And this is about Lily Bart. She's lovely, well-connected, and popular. She belongs to the elite of New York society with its endless rounds of entertainments and weekend country house parties. But Lily needs a rich husband. Her problem is her perverse integrity. She sees the shallowness of the glittering social round and wrecks her chances with wealthy suitors by her unconventional behavior. There's one man whom she could love, but he is never quite there for her, nor she for him. Yes, so as always, Edith Wharton is always making commentary on New York society, and I am very intrigued to read this one. Cannot wait. And then the next book that I am group reading in June is actually a reread for me, and that is Rose Cottage by Mary Stewart. My Mary Stewart buddy read group on Bookstagram has been reinvigorated recently, and so we are reading Rose Cottage, and then I believe in July we're going to read Touch Not the Cat. I haven't read Touch Not the Cat since I was in my late teens, early 20s. I'm really looking forward to that one. I have reread Rose Cottage in the past couple of years, so I may just kind of do a quick skim. I don't know. I just love Mary Stewart so much, though. I'll probably end up reading this. It's such a quick little read, and it's really delightful, and I'm really kind of in the mood for it. So in this one, we follow Katie Herrick. She returns to her childhood home, and she uncovers a web of intrigue as tangled as the rambling roses in its garden. And she's there for her grandmother, and when she gets to the house, she discovers evidence of a break-in, and there are some papers are missing, and there's lots of gossip going on. So it's just about what she discovers about her family while she is at Rose Cottage, kind of helping get it cleared out for her grandmother. So I'm really excited to reread this one. And then the final book in this category is my book club pick for June, and that is Hannah Coulter by Wendell Berry. This is going to be my first Wendell Berry book. I have never read him before, and I'm not sure if I shared this in a haul or not, but I found this copy at Half Price Books and then discovered when I got it home that it is a signed copy. So that was kind of exciting. And so this is his latest installment about the citizens of Port William. And we follow Hannah Coulter. Her first husband, Virgil, was declared missing in action shortly after the Battle of the Bulge. And after she married Nathan Coulter, about all he could tell Hannah about the Battle of Okinawa was ignorant boys killing each other. The community was stunned and diminished by the war, with some of its sons lost forever and others returning home determined to carry on. Now she's in her late 70s, twice widowed and alone. Hannah sorts through her memories. So I guess we're just going to kind of look back on Hannah's life, and I'm really, really excited to finally read my first Wendell Berry. The next two books are books that I am reading for my own personal reading challenges this year. I have two of those going on. And the first one is that I need to read the next book in Middlemarch by George Eliot. I am on book 4. And I need to read book 4 in the month of June. If you hadn't heard already, I am reading Middlemarch as it was published originally. I began this in December, which is when the first book was originally published. And then I think the second book was published in like February, and the third in April, and now the fourth book in June. And it has been working really well to read it that way for me, because it actually has been sort of upping my anticipation of the upcoming books. And I am so excited to get to book 4. I have been mostly listening to this on audio and then going back and marking passages and things in the book that really stood out to me that I want to remember. So I've been doing a little bit of annotating in this edition, but mostly listening to the book on audio, read by Juliet Stevenson, which is absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, the other challenge I have going for myself this year is to read through all of the Lord Peter Wimsey series by Dorothy L. Sayers. And up next, I have the 5 Red Herrings. So this is, I believe, book 6. No, this is book 7. I had to think about that for a second. This is book 7 because I believe book 5 is a book of short stories. So I'm not reading the short story collections. I am only reading the full-length novels this year. I am planning at some point to go back and do the short stories, but I really just wanted to focus on the novels this year. So in this one, this takes place in the scenic Scottish village of Kirkcudbright. No one is disliked more than the painter Sandy Campbell. When he is found dead at the foot of a cliff, his easel standing above, no one is sorry to see him gone, especially 6 members of the close-knit Galloway artist colony. The inimitable Lord Peter Wimsey is on the scene to determine the truth about Campbell's death. Piecing together the evidence, the aristocratic sleuth discovers that of the 6 suspected painters, 5 are red herrings, innocent of the crime, but just which one is the ingenious artist with a talent for murder? Yes. Sounds very, very good. And I still stand by the fact that this series just gets better and better as it goes along. So I'm very excited for this one. Then the next challenge that I'm working on this year is the TBR 24 and 24 challenge. So I have 24 books selected that I have pulled from my shelves that were there as of January 1st of this year. And I have 3 books picked out to read in June. The first one is The House of Mirth, which I've already spoken about. The second book on my TBR 24 and 24 is Baking Cakes in Kigali by Gail Perkin. And this book, I got this on the Half Price Bookstore clearance cart many years ago, maybe 15 years ago or so now. And I think I bought it for like $1. Just sounded really interesting. And this takes place in Rwanda, in the capital of Kigali. And Angel Tungaraza runs a small business baking cakes for the celebrations of her neighbors. As her customers tell her their stories, Angel comes to realize how much each of them has to mourn, as well as what they have to celebrate. And finally, she comes to accept how much that is true of her too. I'm really looking forward to finally getting to this book. And yes, it sounds really interesting. So I'm curious to see if I like it. And then the third book on my TBR 24 and 24 is The Queen and I by Sue Townsend. And I'm excited to have this on my June TBR because I love Sue Townsend. She is so very funny. And let's see, all it says on the back is England's royals are given the sack and go on the dole. So I think this is like the royals have to get themselves some jobs and I don't know, maybe act like real people. So I think this could be very funny, clearly fiction. And yes, so this should be a nice light read for June. The next stack of books are pulled from my summer reading possibilities pile. So all of these were mentioned in my prior to summer reading videos that I did recently, which I will have linked in the description box below if you would like to check either or both of those out. And I've pulled a bunch of books, and some of them I pulled because when I had categorized all my books into their seasonal reading months, a number of these were for June, and then I have a few others here that I also just sounded good and I thought I might want to read them as well. So we will just go through the books. The first book is one that has been on my TBR for such a long time. I know people love this and I'm expecting to love it too. And that is the summer book by Tove Jansson. And in this, we follow a grandmother and a granddaughter, and it tells the story of their summer together that they spend on a tiny, unspoiled island in the Gulf of Finland. And the grandmother is unsentimental and wise, if a little cranky, and Sophia is impetuous and volatile, but she tends to her grandmother with the care of a new parent. And together they amble over coastline and forest in easy companionship, build boats from bark, create a miniature Venice, write a fanciful study of local bugs. They discuss things that matter to young and old alike: life, death, the nature of God, and of love. So it's just about their relationship. I'm excited to finally get to this. This is a modern classic that I feel I'm just going to love. And then the next book I have is Someone at a Distance by Dorothy Whipple. I really want to read a Dorothy Whipple, and everyone has told me that this is the one I should start with. And Someone at a Distance has a deceptively simple plot about a deceived wife and a foolish husband. Avery North has been contentedly married to Ellen for 20 years. They have 2 children and live in the rural commuter belt outside London. When his mother advertises for a companion, the French girl who arrives sets her sights on Avery and callously threatens the happy marriage. Throughout the book, Ellen and Avery are so realistically described that it is almost painful to read. This is a deeply involving and perceptive novel by the literary heir to Mrs. Gaskell. So, well, I love Elizabeth Gaskell, so I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy Dorothy Whipple, and I'm very much looking forward to this. Am I going to say that about every book? Yes. Yes, I am. And then the next book I have is, I know I've said I'm intimidated by this author, but I'm going to dive in this month, and that is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. And I'm thinking I'm going to do this on audio because the only other Virginia Woolf book I've read is Orlando, and I was reading the print version of it and I was really struggling. And as soon as I switched to the audiobook, the book just opened up for me. So I really think that listening to this is the way to go, and my library has a copy of the audiobook. So I think that is what I am going to do. But I know this takes place over the course of one day while Mrs. Clarissa Dalloway is preoccupied with the last minute details of party preparations. And I believe it's sort of stream of consciousness. And so I know that can be a little bit difficult to kind of get through and get into. And I'm hoping the audiobook will help make that a more readable style for me. I'm trepidatious, but hopeful that this is going to be good. And then the next book I have is Above Suspicion by Helen McInnes. And okay, so this is really funny. I had talked about this in my summer reading videos, and then one of you guys commented that there was a movie that sounded exactly like this that was made a long time ago. And I thought this book was fairly recently written, but actually I think it was first published in, when does it say? 1941, which I did not realize. I thought this was like a modern relatively modern novel, like written in the 2000s, and it is not. And this is about a husband and wife, and they're preparing for their annual European summer vacation. They're visited by their Oxford college friend, Peter Galt, who has a seemingly simple job for them. He asks if they would start their holiday in Paris, meet a man there, and then continue their journey as he directs. But in the heightened atmosphere of pre-war Europe, nobody is above suspicion. In fact, the husband and wife are being carefully monitored by shadowy figures. So I think it's very much like a spy kind of a novel, but yes, set in the run-up to World War II, I do believe. But I'm really excited to read this. I've heard great things about this, and I believe this is the start of a series, or at least Helen McInnes has lots of other books that she's written. So if I like this one, then I can move on to those. The next book is Coronation Year by Jennifer Robson. This is one of those books where I'm like, why have I not read this book yet? I loved the gown, and I really am excited to read this. And it's all about Queen Elizabeth's coronation day, but I believe it's told from the perspective of some people who are going to the coronation. And I think it's told from a few different perspectives. So just all about coronation day. So it's not about Queen Elizabeth necessarily. I mean, she's sort of on the periphery there, but the coronation is the sort of construct around which the novel is built. So looking forward to this. And then next, we have a book with a cover that looks so very summery, and every summer I put it on my TBR, and I have yet to read it, and that is We Came Here to Shine by Susie Orman Schnall. That's a hard word to say. Susie Orman Schnall. And in this one, we follow this young woman she's an actress in Hollywood. She's just gotten assigned to her first moving picture, and then she gets sent off by the studio to go work in a synchronized swimming spectacular at the World's Fair. And she thinks this is going to mess up her whole career, but it could possibly lead her into other opportunities. And then there is another young woman, Max, who dreams of becoming a journalist. And then I think she's asked to work for the daily paper at the World's Fair. And of course, she's often overlooked by her male counterparts. And yes, and then it's just about somehow I assume their lives are going to come together in some way. So I think this sounds really wonderful. Has anyone read this? Can anyone tell me if this is good or not? I don't know. I think I haven't picked it up yet because I just feel like maybe the writing isn't going to be that great or something. I don't know, but we'll see. I'll give it a try. If I don't like it, then I'll just pass it along and someone else can enjoy it and love it, because I'm sure there's someone out there who will. Next is another book with a very summery cover, and is another one I keep pulling for my summer TBRs and then not reading it, and that is Fatal Inheritance by Rachel Reese. And this one follows Eve Forrester in London, 1948. She's trying to leave her marriage, and then she receives a letter that a wealthy stranger has left her a mysterious inheritance, and that she has to go to the south of France to find out more about it. And there she finds out she's been bequeathed an enchanting villa overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. But as she begins to sort of become part of this world, there are challengers who would love to see Eve gone forever. So sounds like there's maybe some intrigue or mystery going on here. And I just think this sounds lovely. And I would love to armchair travel to the south of France this June. And then the final book that I pulled for my June possibilities is a hefty one, and that is The Lincoln Highway by Umar Tolls. And I would really love to get to this one. I'm also considering doing this on audio as well. And if anyone has listened to the audiobook and can tell me if it's a good way to read this, I would love to know that. But this, we follow some boys. It's June 1954. Emmett Watson has just been driven home to Nebraska by the warden of the juvenile work farm, where he has served 15 months for involuntary manslaughter. His mother's gone, his father's recently deceased, and the family farm's been foreclosed upon. Emmett's intention is to pick up his 8-year-old brother Billy and head to California to start their lives over. But when the warden drives away, Emmett discovers that 2 friends from the work farm have hidden themselves in the trunk of the warden's car. Together they have hatched an altogether different plan for Emmett's future, one that will take them all on a fateful journey in the opposite direction to the city of New York. Spans 10 days, is told from multiple points of view. Yes, so it sounds really interesting, and this is an Amor Towles novel that I have not read yet. I told you all at the beginning that I have a little task for you, and I got this idea from watching Johanna at Me, My Dog, and Books. She chose a stack of 10 books from her TBR shelves, and then she asked her viewers to pick the top 2 books that they would like her to read, and whichever 2 books won, she was going to read them in June. And I thought, oh, that's such a great idea. So what I want from you guys is, of the 8 books that I pulled that fall into the summer book bingo categories that I had in my summer reading TBR possibility piles, which 2 of these 8 books should I prioritize? And whichever 2 get the most votes, those 2 I will 100% read in June, or at least try to read. And, if I DNF them, that's the way it goes. I'm certainly planning to read more than just 2 from this very empty stack. Oh gosh, that Lincoln Highway one really gets you. It's so heavy. I will list all of the titles and authors and links to the books so you can read synopsis of them. And I really thank you for helping me out with this. So leave those books in the comments below, please. Pick the 2 of the 8 that I listed here and let me know which of those 2 I should prioritize. Okay, so I have plenty to choose from for June. As always, I'm never going to get to all of these, but I like to have lots and lots of choices, as you guys know by now. So definitely leave those 2 books in the comments, and let's chat about any of the other books that I mentioned here in this video. Have you read any of these? Are there any others that you think I'm going to love? Are there any others that were meh? Let me know that too. I always love chatting about books with you guys. And as always, if you could give this video a like and then hit that subscribe button, it really, really helps my channel out. And I will be back with another video very soon. Bye.